How do you feel?
Yeah, that was very, very powerful, that transmission. Really, really powerful.
Joe, can you start again? I didn't hear from the beginning.
Yeah, it's very, very powerful. Really, really powerful. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Blows your socks off.
Yeah.
What was funny, a few days ago, Ismo was writing in the Sangha about Vajra breath and Vajra body exercises, and he used the phrase, blows your shit on the wall. That's poetic.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for that to happen so far. Maybe someday, next life, something like that. But with the Vajra breath, it worked. I had this really like a image. But now I'm just full of that.
I see.
Yeah. Normal retreat mode for me.
I feel you, Ismo.
You wanna play Russian roulette? Yeah.
Anytime.
That's what you do every day at home.
After
That's what all...
breakfast. After breakfast, usually.
Yeah, right. Mark on your diaries that 20th of April this year, you received this empowerment, rainbow body or Tögal empowerment. The way how you write Tögal, it's, well, there are few different, few different versions, but perhaps the most common one is THOGAL, Tögal. I think, Carl, you got it a few years ago. Yeah.
What does it for you? Go on, please. Go on.
You can speak at the same time, no problem.
1, 2, 3. No, for me, like this retreat, like today, yesterday, it's been like just, I was reading like the Song of the Vajra before going to bed, and I can't say like I understood the very depth of it, but it was like reading it completely fresh. Like it made lots of sense. Like it was not about the blessings, it just like the words made sense. And it feels like that so much more with the practice. It's just like it's it's amazing. Like I'm probably on some sort of high again. Like I get my retreat highs, but yeah, this has been like one revelation after another. It's really amazing.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. You mentioned that retreat high. This is something that we discussed with Carl a while ago, that you know, it happens on a lot of retreats. Somebody is always high at some point, and it's not different from, you know, how you go into a bar early in the night. You know, people have taken few drinks and they are kind of, you know, getting a little loose, and you know, everything's funny, and they may feel like cracking jokes to everybody, even if they don't know somebody, they feel like making jokes. And that's exactly how it is on events and retreats. Sometimes people go into the same kind of like a slightly drunken high, say stupid things when passing each other on the hallways, and you know, it's exactly the same. But what it means is that the reason why that happens is because of when awareness hits karmic traits, there is gross bliss for a moment, and that gross bliss is that high.
Okay. Okay.
A lot of practices out there. It also exists in Buddhism, Theravada Buddhism, in jhana practice, in some degree at least. But in Hinduism, very strongly that they seek this frequency where it's grossly blissful, and then just bliss out. That's often the case in Hinduism. But of course, from the point of view of Buddhist practice, that's complete waste of time. I spent years doing that. So I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
But what also happens with that high is that, of course, the more you purify your mind, the more you progress in vipassana, you don't experience it. You know, at some stage, you no longer experience it. It becomes very, very subtle. And it's exactly the same, actually, with romantic love. You know, we all have had like this big falling in love experiences. You know, first great romances in our lives, like when we were, I don't know, teenagers or 20 years old or something. And, you know, you can all remember how it felt like. This blissful love that kind of makes, you know, all your problems disappear, and you only see you only think and see and taste and feel the love of your partner, right? Do you understand what I'm talking about? But my experience of romantic love is that because of purification of mind, it changes along the way. So the more one and one's partner also can recognize the nature of mind, you know, it becomes much more stable and, in a sense, much more intense, this experience of love. It's sort of like just pure love without all the drunkening bliss. It's like a kind of like a there's soberness to it, so that it doesn't make you high or drunk, but you're very sober, and yet there is this intense intense romantic love. On the other hand, like I was talking about Samsara yesterday, ranting about it. I always feel bad after I rant and I start to think that, oh, did I say something stupid, or did I say too much, or so as we know, the samsaric mindset is to seek relief or pleasure and to avoid discomfort. All the time, samsaric mind functions like this. Whether it's a really tasty fruit smoothie, or having a smoke, or having sex and reaching orgasm, or eating some excellent food instead of bad food, instead of not so good food. You know, this is how samsaric mind works. But I think that, and I've seen it in my own friends and relatives, that people who don't practice, they wanna get to that same high. Also in relationships, when people go into new relationships, they wanna get that same kind of high again. This is like one kind of addiction, really. This is hungry ghost stuff. You know, in Buddhism, in the main categories of beings, there are hungry ghosts, which what it means is that they are hungry because they seek their fix. Seek, is that right? Seek their fix, seek their kicks, is that also right? They seek some kind of a high, some kind of they seek to get into a euphoric experience rather than experience this crap of their own mind, of crap of confusion, anxiety, fear, pain, and so forth. So hungry ghosts, you know, just like you can see when we see drug addicts and alcoholists on the streets, that's the hungry ghost mentality. But it exists, the same trait exists in us. You know, sometimes we want to eat 1 kilo of ice cream. When we have a bad day, you just take the goddamn ice cream bucket and you just up while you're, you know, having watching Netflix for a day or 2 days in a row. It's fine for a Dharma practitioner. I've done it loads of times. And I've also been like a proper hungry ghost because I drank for years and years when I was a teenager, getting properly drunk 2-3 times a week for about 6-7 years. So I've done it. But for a Dharma practitioner, you know, I think we shouldn't be too rigid about it, because rigidness means like you deny things from yourself that you want. But you know, you kind of have to find your own way. You know, whatever thing, a drink, food, candy, sex, you know, however you want to get a fix, you gotta find a middle way how to illuminate that from the inside. So while you're eating that bucket of ice cream and watching 7th episode of Breaking Bad in a row, you know, become aware of what is going on, what is happening. And that is enough. That will do the trick. Just keep becoming aware.
Yeah, that worked for me last night.
Yeah. But that's the tantric way, like so we don't deny or renounce things from ourselves, but rather bring everything onto the path, which means that you bring literally, practically, you bring awareness to whatever you're doing. But it's sort of like if you know, we all know how it goes when people who are not ready to renounce sex and become celibates, for example. What happens to a lot of them? They suppress this basic force in their body mind, and this creates perversions. So this is definitely something that, you know, it's very, very serious issue. And I think that tantrics, you know, Tantra has a smart way of dealing with it, rather than you know, if you have a, you know, Cesar Millan, dog whisperer, Cesar Millan, the American guy. And, you know, he goes and people have these problem dogs that are erratic and bite and bark all the time. And he goes in and first of all is present with it. So he doesn't start beating the dog or doesn't lock it into a cage, what people usually do. So he doesn't force anything on the dog. He wants to understand what is wrong with the dog so that he can help the dog to relax. That's what tantrics do. The view of renunciation is sort of like a, well, depends who you ask. There are different views of renunciation also, but in what I've seen a lot is that people lock up in a cage their sex desire and pretty much everything you can enjoy in life, and just try to live without sex or joy in life, or not even a small ice cream cone. And that doesn't sound so smart to me. On the other hand, some people are ready for celibacy. Some people are really ready to become monks and nuns who live in sexual abstinence. Connor, did you have something?
Yeah, just briefly. Yesterday after we finished, I was just kind of pottering around here at home, and I cleaned a couple of windows that had been asked to be cleaned, and I just started to feel really anxious. I started to feel really quite anxious, and I was the last while I've been kind of gone out in the neighborhood and doing some pictures, you know, in the kind of, you know, we have like a limited radius within which we can kind of move, you know, and I just went out walking and, you know, did some pictures and just kind of photographed a couple of people. And then actually it was quite, by the time I got home, it was like 9 o'clock and I had some food and I was really hungry. Like I you know, just totally devoured my dinner. And then by the time I went to bed, I was like completely exhausted. Like really, my body was like really tired. Like, and actually yesterday morning when I woke up, I felt a bit depressed before we started, and not so much fearful, but it just some kind of depression, and you know, it might be a kind of, well, I don't know, but you know, trying not to analyze it too much, but you know, it might be like, you know, fatigue, But you know, then yesterday, like it was great. Like I really, I felt the transmission, and like the retreat yesterday was very good. Like but then I felt this real anxiety, and but then I just totally forgot about it when I went out and doing my stuff, and but I was really exhausted last night when I went to bed, and I don't think I woke during the night, and I forgot to set the alarm, but the radio comes on, so the radio came on at 7 o'clock or 7:05, and I was awake, and I was tired, like, and yeah, so yeah, that's all. The Vajra light there, I really, could visualize the heart, and the heart was kind of, drawing it down, and that was, it was good. And the transmission for me, it kind of came and went a little bit. I was listening to your kind of guidance, and then I realized, oh, I'm in this now, and then, but I was I was in and out of it a little bit, I was in and out of it a little bit, but I did feel drawn to I do have the tanka here belonging to the Sangha of Rinpoche, of Padmasambhava, and I did feel drawn to it, like, so yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Yeah, very common marks. Like you said yesterday during these discussions that, something like along the lines that for the first time you really got it. And it's always when we have a really strong experience, because during empowerment or pointing out session like this one, like the ones we've had on this retreat, when we have those really strong new experiences, there is always is it backlash in English? There's like a boomerang effect, so that the boomerang flies beautifully, but it comes back. And this happens because our awareness, the reason why it's a new experience is because it reaches farther and deeper in our energy body than it did before. Oh, I never experienced it, that it's so clear and so vast and so beautiful. This happens because, our awareness goes deeper in the mind than it did before. But exactly because of that same reason. And by the way, when it does that, that's when bhumi openings and perfections can happen. But then there is a backlash to it, exactly for the same reason, because awareness reaches farther in the energy body. It reaches also bits in the nadis, parts in the nadis where there is dirt that we didn't access before, that we weren't aware of before. And that's the backlash. That's the anxiousness or reaction of anger, and that's the tiredness also. This is the reason why we rest so much during these days, lying down, because trying to, kind of get this, keep practice going, but still, trying to even the scales, because it's kind of all the time hitting the roof in a sense, or the meter is going on red all the time. So that's why I'm asking us to take a rest continuously, so that it tries to pull it back so that we can continue. Same thing on live retreats, as you know. But it's a good experience in all. All these backlashes, like everything else, they come and go. So when they come, be aware. When they go, be aware. But I'm happy for you that you had a new revelation. Liz, go ahead.
So when we're doing the visualizations, I feel kind of really on, like really kind of blissful, kind of real energized. Okay. And so I like during those, like there's no vipassana at all, you know. Am I like, because sometimes we're in the visualizations for a long time, and I'm aware that I have really good concentration, so I can concentrate for a very, very long time on visualization. And so like I don't have any thoughts. And so sometimes you say we should be, sometimes you talk about the practice as if, you know, we should be able to see our thoughts and let them come clearly to us. Is that not, is that separate from when we're doing the visualizations? Because when we're doing the visualizations, I think of nothing else except the visualization. And it's really good and it's really high, and, you know, and it sounds like that's really what I'm supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
But is it separate then when I do the visualize, you know, separate from, is there another time when in our practice is it kind of vipassana? Is it appropriate to be thinking, letting the thoughts in and examining them? Because I don't see that in our practice. It, like I feel that that's not hard. I can't see it in the structure, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Which parts are, you know, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, yes. Okay, so I think you're lucky in a way that your visualizations are so clear that you know, you're not getting distracted or not having thoughts. So let me think it for a moment. So there are two kinds of vipassana, and a sutra style vipassana is that we work with thoughts and any kind of object in the mind directly. This is sutra style vipassana, sutric. Then there is tantric vipassana, and tantric always means mudras, mantras, visualizations, sometimes breathing exercises. These 4 elements, either alone or 2 of them together or 3 of them together or all 4 together. These are the elements of tantric practices, and using tantric practices such as visualizations already generates insight, already is vipassana practice. Because what happens is that you know, when we visualize, let's say, diamond body with the aura or not, when we visualize when we make contact with Mahasiddha Bhumis, these are very simple visualizations that we do on daily basis. Like I also teach Guru Yoga or Deity Yoga. I mainly teach mantra, but also often on retreats we use visualizations of gurus and deities. So what happens there is that when we let's say I have a tanka of white tara there. Is it? Yes, this one, there in the back of the room. So for example, if we practice white tara and we visualize her in front of us or her in place of our physical body, the reason why it's vipassana is because we bring her sacred or fully enlightened image in the form of light, through the medium of light, in the place of our samsaric body, samsaric mind, which is also made of light, nadis and chakras, channels and centers. And this is why, because we bring that image of a guru or tara or some other deity, that's why it generates insight. And when we do that, we use concentration or focus in that visualized image. So there is an element of shamatha there, focus, concentration. But it then, because of the nature of because of the involvement of the guru or deity, it generates insight. So we can practice both sutric vipassana and tantric vipassana at the same time. It's possible to do that. You know, what I'm saying is that if we visualize the diamond body and the diamond aura, for example, whatever visualization we're doing, and then thought pops up, you don't have this problem, but most of us do. So a thought pops up and it somehow, it makes us, you know, it catches our attention, so it distracts us. Then, you know, we can see, while keeping the visualization, that what was it that distracted us. So from the tantric practice, tantric vipassana, you for a moment flip to sutric vipassana before you come back to tantric vipassana again. But you don't have that problem, you don't have thoughts popping up, so no issue there. But I would like to add that something that I've written to the booklet, it still hasn't been updated, the preliminary practices booklet. It still says open heart in the cover. It should say Pemako Buddhist preliminary practices, but it hasn't been updated. But in the introduction, I've written that those practices can be seen as preliminaries that take us from here to somewhere else, takes us from samsaric condition to nirvana, liberation. On the other hand, those practices are already the embodiment of that liberated condition, liberated state. So this as a comment to, you know, I don't think you didn't mention it, but I felt like commenting that when we have that visualization of diamond body and diamond aura, it is already a, you know, liberated condition. That exercise is already the, how should I say, expression or an embodiment of a Buddha.
I think it's, I still think there's something wrong. I think it's just that I'm just so focused, because when you, the other day when you did, sorry, it wasn't, when we do like a 2-part formula, I'm still like, find this angry, fearful bit in me when we do that.
Yes.
So just, I don't know. I don't, maybe I'll figure it out. I can't. I'm like, I'm just like so focused, and then But yet I know that stuff is in me.
Okay.
Don't know how to get it doing your practice. But I don't know how to get it anyway. So.
So your problem is, if I'm understanding you correctly now, is that you can be very focused and there's nothing happening and there's no fuel for your vipassana practice.
Exactly. There's nothing coming in. I'm not letting anything in. So I don't know how. And then when you say, sometimes you, like on the last retreat, you did this like 2-part formula again, and it came rushing at me because I did the second part of the 2-part formula.
I see.
And kind of in an uncontrollable. And when you say something like "let the wall down" or something like that specifically, and let it in, comes out.
Well, so sometimes sometimes the fuel comes to you, sometimes it doesn't, right?
If I'm instructed to, if there's specific instructions. So, and that's why I want to know, say in the third, say in the part 3 of your instructions, like where in that should it be coming in? Where should I be letting it in? In the Hatha Yoga? I don't know. Sorry, everybody, to take up your time.
No, it's a good question. I guess that depends also, when to, bringing back the self. The path isn't supposed to be easy, but the path isn't supposed to be too hard either. And we can make ourselves, it can become too hard if we try to achieve or do too much too soon. If we have a day that is tiring and we feel tired when we start practicing, and then if you try to, try to solve too much, try to do too much practice-wise, it probably just adds to our tiredness, right? So that's what I mean by saying that it depends. So it is important for us to keep going in our practice so that we come to meet with our delusions regularly, so that we don't only try to remain in that selfless state while knowing that there's dirty baggage somewhere there. This is spiritual bypassing, right? But on the other hand, if we try to solve that dirty laundry too much, too soon, if we are in a hurry, that won't be good either. So find a middle way. Find a middle way in your own practice. You know how to do that, so just apply it according to what feels right for you every day. Okay? All right, folks, let's have lunch break. It's now 20 past 12, so we'll continue 20 past 1. Thank you. Enjoy your lunch.